Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Movies Misremembered. I am your host, as always, the Duke of Alex, or the intrepid Alex in that situation. We're going to talk about a movie today starring Bill Paxton, directed by Bill Paxton, and Matthew McConaughey. I love Matthew McConaughey. Great guy. He was excellent in True Detective, absolutely phenomenal in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And there was another one, I think Sweet Home Alabama was a Matthew McConaughey film. I have no idea why I know all of his films, but his greatest role of all time is one we will cover in the future, and it's called Killer Joe. For now, we're going to cover the amazing cult classic thriller crime thing that is called Frailty. Frailty. So, Frailty begins with an FBI agent being called at home, and the guy says, someone here wants to talk to you about the God Hand Killer, and he's only going to talk to you. Now, he's called the God Hand Killer because notes left behind at the scenes of the crime will allude to them being committed by someone who calls themselves the God Hand. They're doing the work of God. They are the hand of God. Now, when the FBI agent arrives, he goes into the room, and we have a Matthew McConaughey putting on his best deep Southern accent. And I think this movie takes place somewhere, the past parts of the film take place somewhere in lower Georgia, because multiple times he talks about Jacksonville being southwest of them. And so that's an important little note that I took. This takes place in the South, which means that FBI agent would probably be the Jacksonville office of the FBI, because that's the closest one to South Georgia, unless he goes to Atlanta. I don't know. Anyway, why do I know where all the FBI offices are? So, what we're going to do is we are going to flash back, and this happens multiple times in the film, where it goes back and he's talking about his father, and he said, it all began with my father when he had this revelation. He thinks his brother is the God Hand Killer. So the father comes in one day, and we get to kind of see a snapshot of the life, and everything's normal and everything's happy, and there's two boys. You have the father, whose name is Bill Paxton, and that's Bill Paxton, the actor, and that's also the director. So Bill Paxton, the actor, Bill Paxton, the director, and I don't know what his name is in the movie, so we're going to call him Bill for Bill Paxton. So you got old BP over there. I know I was going to call him Bill. I changed my mind right then and there. We're calling him BP now. So we got BP as the father, and he's a nice father. He's like, oh, we'll look at that math homework this weekend, and stuff like that. And then he's got two sons. The older son is named Fenton, and the younger son is named Adam. So the father bursts into their bedroom in the middle of the night and says, boys, I've seen God, and he has told me that I will be sent 3 mystical, magical, weapons, and that we will use these weapons to destroy demons. And if you're at all intrigued about the idea of the story being told to an FBI agent modern day about the family with a father and 2 sons, and the destruction of demons because of some kind of, is it a religious thing? Is it supernatural? Is this guy deranged? What's happening here? I encourage you to go check the movie out, but you got to rent it, so you might as well stick around here and listen to me talk about it. So what happens next, this is where it starts becoming a movie. He comes home with a lead pipe, then he finds an axe, and he finds some gloves, and I'm pretty sure these are the 3 mystical magical weapons. This pair of gloves, this super cool double-headed axe, and a lead pipe. And these weapons are going to allow them to destroy demons by hitting them with the lead pipe, dragging them with the gloves, and then killing them with the axe. So it's pretty simple process. God gave him the formula to destroy demons. The formula is hit them with a club, drag them to the secluded area, you're then going to smack them with an axe. Now, Bill Paxton, BP over here, tells Fenton and Adams, because Fenton and Adam has to help him do this, that God will make them invisible. He will make them unseeable. He'll shadow them, obfuscate their movements. And so he brings home a woman and touches her and gets appalled by her sins and murders her in front of his kids. Now, what are the sins? He doesn't see sins. He just takes off his gloves, touches her, has a what I would assume to be an epileptic fit brought on by the brainworm that's currently eating through his cerebral cortex. And that's what's led him to decide that this individual now needs to die. So there's a woman at first, and then he invites his son, not his friend, his son Fenton, to did I say invites? No, he basically forces Fenton to assist in capturing the second demon, which is a man. And he touches the demon, and then he says, Fenton, you can't see. And Adam's like, oh, I can see, Dad. And everybody's like, Adam, you can't really see. You're just saying that to, like, make Dad happy. Prior to the capture of the second man, but after the capture of the woman, he has Fenton dig a hole in the backyard. And the hole has to be 10 feet deep by 15 feet on each side. So it's a big square. And they build a storm shelter, which is actually like a murder dungeon for the people they bring home, the demons. It's this, again, movie's off the rails. It's just, and they are bought into it. And the movie is being told to the FBI agent from the perspective of Fenton. And it's because he had to bury his brother in the rose garden, and he tells the FBI agent, you'll understand what this means. Now, at about this point in the film, the young FBI agent who is at the front desk comes in and says, sir, do you need me to hang around? And he goes, no, you can head on. He goes, okay. And he leaves. And so now we just have Fenton, the older son who's now an adult, telling the story of their father, the God Hand Killer, the brother, the God Hand Killer, to the FBI agent, no one else in the office. And it's raining outside for no reason, just rain. That happens. So then we get Fenton assisting the father in the capture of this demon, and the father touches him, and then he says, oh, he killed babies, Fenton, he murdered babies. And he picks up his axe and just, and so no, this is, I do believe, the point in which Fenton takes back control. Now, Fenton has already made a mistake. The mistake was he decided to go to the police because the father was going to kill again. Maybe he already had killed again at this point. How many bodies did they? I think there was only two. No, 3 murdered. There were probably only 3 murdered in the entire film. Not sure. It's insinuated there are a lot more. So Fenton goes to the police. The police officer comes. The police officer wants to check the storm shelter basement. The police officer goes down because the father has killed the guy who kills babies. So the police officer goes down, and the father ends up having to kill the police officer. And he tells Fenton, if you tell anyone, I'm going to have to kill somebody. Because up to this point, he hasn't killed anybody. He's just eradicated demons. Now he's killing people. And so Fenton tells the police officer comes, police officer dies. After like multiple times not believing Fenton. It's insane. And then you have this time where the father wants Fenton to kill the individual. So Fenton has the axe, and the father's like, Fenton, you've got to be the one to do it because God has shown me a vision of you being a demon. And it's like, what? Fenton's a demon? But Fenton's telling the story to the FBI agent in the future. Well, then Fenton kills his father. He just smacks his father in the chest with an axe. And all it takes to take down BP is an axe to the chest. Now, if Ash from the Evil Dead had gotten an axe to the chest, he'd have just pulled that sucker out and had like a little chest wound there for the rest of the movie. Because Ash can cut off his own hand and still function. I mean, the Evil Dead, phenomenal film franchise. We will be misremembering that one day. Very soon, I'm sure. So, Fenton kills his father, and I'm going to assume kills the person that they've kidnapped, because you're not going to let that person go, right? Like, oh, he kills the father, and by the time he turns around, Adam, the other brother, has killed the hostage. So Fenton kills the father, and then Adam, the crazy little brother who hasn't really been involved a whole lot up till now, he's just always been on the periphery going, I see the demons too, Dad, and all that other jazz. And the dad's all like, okay, Adam, one day, but Fenton's the eldest, we gotta help him. So, long and the short of it is, Adam kills the last hostage. Then him and his brother bury the bodies in the rose garden, because that's what God wants, because that was another rule sent down to old Danny Phantom over there, Bill Paxton from the Sky Daddy, that you have to bury the bodies in the rose garden. And so they're burying them in the rose garden, and Fenton turns to Adam and says, if I ever die, bury me in the rose garden. And about this time, back to the future, the FBI agent has left the office with Fenton Paxton, because he thinks he's with Fenton Paxton. They're driving along. Matthew McConaughey's telling his story. They get to the rose garden. He's been handcuffed to the front. You know, his hands are cuffed in front of him because the FBI agent doesn't trust him. He's in the backseat of the car. It's got wire mesh and everything. And they're digging a hole. And the guy says, wait, what do you mean Adam promised Fenton? I thought you said you promised your brother. He goes, well, I would. But that would only make sense if I was Adam. So this has been Adam all along. Why is he telling the FBI this story? Why? Because at the very beginning, something I forgot to mention, he saw a picture of the FBI agent and his mother. He's there for a specific reason. He is there to see this FBI agent, and also to kind of throw them off the trail of the God Hand Killer, because it's real. When he reaches up and touches the FBI agent, he sees the FBI agent killing his own mother. And it's because the FBI agent said his own mother was killed by a psycho slasher like the God Hand Killer, and they never caught the guy who did it. He did it himself. So he was one of the demons. We find out that these people are not, like, wholly good individuals. I mean, they've murdered other people. The one guy with the kills babies, he definitely, you see why he used Fenton as bait? That's horrible. That's horrible in retrospect, Bill Paxton. So they're not innocent individuals, but are they demons? Because at no point do they make it to show that they're demonic in any way. What happens whenever the individuals of this particular bloodline that are blessed by God in this Frailty storyline touch one of the demonic individuals with their hand without the special glove on it, they see the sins of that human being. Now, we also find out, because the FBI pulls the video cameras, that all the video cameras in the entire building frazzle as soon as Matthew McConaughey appears upon them. Then we see that Matthew McConaughey shows up and kills Fenton, because Fenton turns out to be a serial killer who buries his victims in his basement. And, you know, the God Hand Killer isn't a serial killer. He kills demons and buries the demons out in the rose garden. Well, he leaves the FBI agent's blood-stained identification in Adam's basement. Fenton's basement. Adam leaves it in Fenton's basement. And then he also, I guess, kills Fenton and buries Fenton in the rose garden. With probably the FBI agent as well. I don't know if they find the bodies, but the case is officially closed with Fenton being the God Hand Killer. Now, who is Adam Paxton? Well, the movie ends with a man going to see Sheriff Paxton at the local county sheriff's office and he's talking to Matthew McConaughey. So Matthew McConaughey started as the son of a serial killer, turned religious zealot with visions of God, turned sheriff of an entire county. And if you've seen John Oliver's bit about how powerful sheriffs are, then you know just how truly frightening that can be. Well, the lady at the front desk of his sheriff's department is pregnant, and she goes out and she says something at the end with Matthew McConaughey sitting there. Matthew McConaughey's just like, yeah. And then the camera pulls away. And that is Frailty in a nutshell. But what does this movie mean? What is the point of the film? I think the film is trying to give us the fact that this is essentially, if it was done today, it'd be done by M. Night Shyamalan, and these would be superheroes who are able to see people's sins and are able to, as long as they are carrying out the moniker of justice, the spirit of justice, if you will, they're able to avoid apprehension because they are protected by an ancient god of justice. I would like it to be a Greek god of justice, because I don't think the Greek gods of justice get as much show and tell, if you will. But I think that that's a very important part of the film, is the concept of justice for the individuals, for the victims who can't speak for themselves. Now, the crazy part is the idea that this all came from God, and he gave these names to a car mechanic, single father of two boys, who lost his wife when she was giving birth to the youngest. And it's like, this is such a strange thing. I mean, what do you do? What do you do if you truly believe that God came down and poked you on the shoulder and tapped your shoulder and just told you, Cynthia Clarkson and Billy Bob have got to go. You gotta take them out. I'm gonna send you some lead pipes, an axe, and maybe a pair of gloves, latex gloves, and a rubber ducky. These are the 4 remnants of an angel that you're gonna take into battle with you. Praise be, whatever. And it just like, now you have to strap that rubber ducky token around your neck, and every time you wear the rubber ducky, you just can't be seen by anyone but the demons. And it's like, what do you, if you truly believed it, if you had that kind of break with reality, and you've ever thought, how do you convince a couple of kids to go along with this? Frailty's the movie for you. If you haven't ever had that thought, can you skip it? I think I'd give this is an interesting film. I'd give it 4 out of 6. I'd give it a 4 out of 6. It's a watch if it sounds at all intriguing to you. But if it doesn't, it's not Matthew McConaughey's best performance. It's not the FBI officer's best performance. And as great as Bill Paxton is, he was in Twister, and he was bringing it in Twister. In this, he inhabits that role very well, but it's not a dynamic role. So he embodies a mild-mannered Christian man, car mechanic, turned vigilante for God. And that statement just baffles me. So that's where we're going to leave it, guys. Also, the kid actors, I think they do a great job. It's, I don't think it could be made today, because you could not insinuate these child serial killers in such a manner, which they're not the serial killers, but they're there for all the murders. They're just kind of hanging around in the background, and at some point they get actively involved. So it's, I turned to Amy. I said, "Are those Bill Paxton's kids? Because I can't think of another way this movie could get made unless both of those kids were Bill Paxton's kids." And Bill Paxton's like, "It's fine. I'm the dad. We can write this off." But plenty of people out there, I guess, want their kids to be famous so they can, supposedly hack to death an innocent human being after their father's murdered in front of them because the guy's a demon. I'll see you guys next time. If you have any suggestions for future movies, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, bye y'all.